This morning I was in a rush and I caught myself mere seconds before committing a truly idiotic act. In an effort to save time, I was about to iron my shirt collar while wearing my shirt. Reddit, what's the dumbest act have you successfully stopped yourself from committing? I was driving when I patted my pockets and didn't feel my keys. I had already turned my car around and started driving back home to get them, when I realized that the first 3 words of this story are I was driving. Once, I missed my exit going home and I just thought to myself, it's cool, I'll just load my last save. I then realized I was playing way too much Fallout. Once in the middle of the night I was hot and needed to plug my fan in. It was very dark in the room and I couldn't seem to get the plug to hit the outlet correctly since I didn't want to turn on the light. So I felt where the outlet holes were and then gripped the plug by the prongs and attempted to manually guide the plug in that way so I could take advantage of my sense of touch. Luckily I failed my first attempt and in my groggy state realized what I was attempting. I've done this once, but didn't stop myself. I did it with a laptop charger though. Hurt like a bee. I have a faint memory of being blind drunk, walking into my kitchen, other side of the hall from bathroom, and pushing the pedal on the pedal bin whilst unbuttoning my jeans. Just before it was too late I remember thinking, that's not how toilets open. Then I strided into my real bathroom feeling very proud of my drunken logic. That's how toilets should open. Whenever I paint, I have a moment where I almost drink the water I clean my brushes off in. Thankfully I have always caught myself just before consumption. It's extra fun when you're working with oil paints and nearly take a giant swig of turpentine, and by fun, I mean stomach pumps. Had a brutal itch on the top of my foot while mowing the lawn. Push mower. Guess what brilliant idea flashed across my mind? Glad I resisted that one. It would have solved the problem though. I was in my chemistry lab and I was really tired and just wanted to go home. Anyway, towards the end I was cleaning up and I had a clear liquid on the table. It was either water, which I could pour down the sink, or hydrochloric acid, which I had to dispose of in the hazard barrel. I figured I better taste it to see which one it is. Glad I stopped before I went through with that. pH strip. I was making toast but it got stuck in the toaster and was about to use a knife to pry it when I realized that it might be a bad idea. Also thinking it would be okay to jump out of a window since it was only 5 or so meters from the ground. Too much Minecraft I guess. I once caught myself about to blow dry my hair in the bath. Right as I was about to start blowing myself I remembered learning this is something you should never do. You would have quickly found out what they mean by bed, bath and beyond. Yesterday I was going home from work. I walked to my car, unlocked it, got in the back seat, and sat there for a minute before realizing I couldn't drive my car from the back seat. This is a reoccurring dream for me. I set the cruise control and get in the back seat, and then realize that it isn't the best idea, but can't get back in the front seat so have to steer using my feet or something from the back seat. It's a nerve-wracking little dream. TLDR. Almost took my dong out in public. The bathroom in my apartment last year was around a corner, and I got into the habit of unzipping my fly and taking my dong out after I rounded the corner. No big deal. Then one day in a building on campus, I started walking to the bathroom. Without even thinking about it as I rounded the corner, I unzipped my fly and was about to complete the next step when I realized what I was doing. Luckily nobody was in that hallway, so nobody saw. This reminds me of the story from a AskReddit thread a while back, about this guy, when he was a kid, once flipped his junk out and walked down the hallway at school, to save time when in the toilet or something along that. Never laughed so much at a comment. Kids' logic is flawless. If anyone finds it, please link for the lazy. Would like to read again. I got up early on my day off to go run some errands in a nearby city, about a half hour away. I got all prepped, got lists together, got out on the road in time to be there when the first store opened, and made it onto the highway where I'd be spending the next 20 minutes cruising at 70 miles per hour. Nice, I thought. I can stop rushing around and relax for a few minutes. I probably even have time for a quick nap. I moved around in my seat to get comfortable, closed my eyes, and then, I'm fucking good I'm driving the car what the fuck was I thinking? I'm on the toilet and I just read this. This made me laugh so hard my poop came out so much easier. Thank you. It can get really cold where I work. The cold gets to my hands and the fact that I work in front of a PC with my hands typing away at the keyboard makes it that much worse. So one time I was going to the bathroom and going about my business in the urinal when it occurs to me that fresh urine is warm. Warm enough that it would just be the thing my hands need. I'm about to wash my hands in my own pee midstream when I realize what I'm about to do. I immediately go, what the frick? Brain. I'm so glad I stopped when I did. Can you imagine the mess and how awkward having to explain that would be? TLDR. Bear Grylls teaches me how to survive the cold. Best part is there was probably a hot water tap behind you. Happened today at IKEA. I knew what I was shopping for so just wanted in and out. I'm pretty tired today and I was rushing. And I needed to pee. I saw what I wanted in one of those room displays so I went over to grab the details. Walking through a home type display on the way. On my way through I saw the bathroom and thought good a toilet. Thankfully a split second later my half asleep brain prevented my body from making a divert. I now realize why people use a bathroom in public non-bathroom places. Once when I was putting away the shopping, I put the bananas in the oven. It took me a couple of seconds before I realized. I've done that kind of thing all the time. Milk in the bin, pasta in the fridge, etc. etc. Stupid brain doesn't like autopilot. Tip for the future: if you or a person you live with have straighteners for hair, use them on collars, ties, anything you can get the irons around and it will work in a rush when you need your collars doing. Just make sure there isn't any hair product on it. Sometimes mine have a bit of hairspray residue or oils from my hair. I have done this before in a pinch and it works. I just say to wipe the straightener down. One night, my friends and I were shrooming on the roof of an abandoned hospital. I started getting strong auditory hallucinations. Hearing things that weren't there. It got to the point where what I was seeing and what I was hearing weren't matching up. I decided the best way to figure it out would be to walk off the edge of the hospital, and if I fell, then I'd know my vision was right and not my hearing, and if I didn't fall, then the opposite. I stood up, and some part of me realized, but if you do fall, you'll die, dude, so I giggled and sat back down. Remembering it the next day, I decided I was done with shrooms for a while. Shrooming. On the roof. I think I found your problem. I was swimming in the ocean, then realized I was really thirsty. I thought, hey, look at all this water all around me, and began to take a drink from the water beside me. Once it was inside my mouth, the salty taste made me spit it out, and I then realized what an idiotic move I was about to perform. Once it was inside my mouth, the salty taste made me spit it out, and I then realized what an idiotic move I was about to perform. Sounds a lot like my girlfriend. Sometimes I walk around while brushing my teeth. Sometimes I forget that there is no sink in front of me. Then I spit, and since it's all gooey toothpastey spit, it goes down really slow and I try to stop it mid-air. Back in the 80s, I worked for a convenience store gas station and part of the shift change included checking the meters on the pumps to record the number of gallons pumped. Since my shift was a night shift, I did this using a flashlight to read the meter. One night the flashlight wouldn't work, no amount of shaking would get light. So I did what any smoker would do. I pulled out my lighter to use it to light my way. Got it partway to the thumb line up position before I realized that I was an idiot. I went inside and got another flashlight off the shelf. Yeah, I was on acid about 20 years ago. Decided that the pretty patterns on the mattress that was leaning against the basement wall would look really cool by firelight. So I pulled out my lighter and almost set it on fire. That would have been really bad. We had a large house full of about 30 tripping people. Really bad. I was driving to Montreal on a crisp late October evening to attend a funeral a few years ago. It was late, I was tired, and there was a lot on my mind. My father and I weren't on speaking terms and I hadn't seen him in almost a year and a half. Suddenly, I was going to be surrounded by his relatives, forced to interact with him, on top of trying to comfort my grieving family. I got to the border around 1 or 2 AM and, obviously, all the crossing lanes but one were closed. There were no other cars. Despite the huge warning signs, I pulled straight up to the window like it was a drive-through and looked in. Funny, didn't see anyone. Thinking to myself, oh, the border must be closed today, I felt my foot going for the gas to drive off. Thankfully, a combination of better judgment and a border agent coming to the window prevented me from driving through an international border without stopping. That sure would have been fun. And this is how you missed a great opportunity for participating in an exciting car chase. Got to the point of planning how I was going to commit suicide and what the note was going to say, then decided to see a therapist instead. TLDR. Almost masturbated with roommate in same room. Freshman year in college, it's 8:50 am. And I'm still in bed but my dorm mate has class at 9 o'clock so he should be gone. I get out, use the floor bathroom, freshen up, then get my laptop for some special me time, aka masturbation. Get in my nice comfy chair and I'm about to pull my shorts down when I see movement in my roommate's bed and realize that he's skipping class. That wasn't the only time that year that we almost caught the other masturbating. He knew what you were going to do. He moved on purpose to give you heads up. If I eat like a yogurt from a disposable container, I almost always try to throw my spoon in the bin and put the plastic tub in the washing machine. I usually stop myself. Till yogurt typically eats things from disposable containers. It was the middle of the night, and I was doing chemistry homework on my computer. The book had been talking about how water had a high specific heat, so when I realized how hot my laptop was getting, clearly there was only one solution. I managed to go over to the sink, fill a whole water bottle, and start to tip it before I realized how stupid an idea that was. I think everyone who reads about specific heat capacity tries to do this in one form or another. Mine was trying to use wet towels to cool down a really hot room, which of course dripped everywhere and I just ended up with a puddle on the floor. When I was 9, I was finally allowed to mow the lawn. I had a habit of growing my fingernails too long, and as a male, I was bothered. So I decided, since the lawnmower has blades, I could just cut my nails on those. My father stopped me before I did anything. I was not a bright child. It would work too effectively. Slicing cheese one time with a knife, I found the knife wasn't working all that well. I went to push down on the top of the blade to force it through the cheese. I caught myself just before I put my hand on it. I realized the knife blade was upside down. As a joke, me and some of my friends would bump each other's cars while we were waiting to exit the drive when school let out. This happened maybe once or twice a month. We'd basically let the car roll into the car in front of us, doing no damage. It was funny, harmless and kept our 16-year-old brains entertained in traffic. We really only did it to our friends since all of us drove beat up cars. One day after a friend had bumped me several times at school earlier that day, I ended up driving behind him on a major road and got within a few inches of giving him a bump at 55 miles per hour. Luckily I realized this would have a different outcome while we were driving. I once reflexively tried to catch a falling, razor-sharp diving knife on a rocking boat. I actually cut my fingers just slightly enough to cut the skin but no blood, and immediately had a no moment and let it drop. There is no handle on a falling knife. Not me, my father. He was carving a pumpkin. He cut around the top to get the top off so he could scoop the guts out, but had trouble prying the top off. So he wedges his big knife in the top and starts prying, but it won't budge. Angrily he braces the pumpkin against his chest and starts really pressing on the knife. An instant later he realizes he has braced the knife, point towards his chest, and the instant he actually pops the top off the knife will plunge point first at his chest. In that instant of holy frick, what am I doing? The top pops off, and the knife slams into his chest at Mach 4, only for the point to hit the button of his shirt, and stop dead. TLDR. My dad stabbed himself in the chest, and only survived because he hit the button of his shirt. I was trying to separate frozen pieces of banana bread by holding two in my palm and trying to put the point of a knife through them with the other. A few seconds into this plan I realized what I was doing. I know two people who have put knives through their palms doing something similar with avocado pits. Sigh. I was parked at the mall facing a really nice Lamborghini. I'm not a car person and even I found it really sleek and beautiful. It was clearly either new or very well cared for, dark silver and quite stylish. I was thinking about what it would be like to drive it, so I was about to back out of my spot and had my foot on the gas pedal when I realized that my stupid mind had distractedly put my fairly big pickup truck in drive rather than reverse. I chuckled, put it in reverse, and thanked the heavens I hadn't just ruined a lovely car and probably run up my insurance fees for life. Not me, but I was standing next to him. Was about 8 years ago. My best friend and I, 16 at the time, were attending a family event at a local golf club. We were in the clubhouse, and my best friend is holding my baby brother, maybe 1 year old, not in a dangerous way. He lifts him up above his head. Playfully, I hear this loud whizzing sound. Look up and see that his, not fully formed, head is less than an inch from a ceiling fan on full blast. I am convinced that if contact was made, it would have surely killed him. My friend quickly pulls my little brother down to his chest and looks at me with pure terror. We both look around. Nobody else in the crowded room was looking. Sometimes, like an idiot, I imagine what could have happened, and it blows my mind how close my buddy came to ruining the lives of so many people. We occasionally remember that close call when we're together. Still a secret between both of us. It is my go-to moment when I need to think about the fragility of life. TLDR. My best friend almost decapitated my little brother, Lion King style. Go a violent allergic reaction at 3 AM. I was preparing myself to just sleep it off while my face was swelling up. Thank God I decided to go to the hospital after really thinking about it. I was told my throat could have swollen up on the inside, stopping me from breathing. For some reason I read this post in a thick Scottish accent. I once nearly sucked my own eyeball out of my head with a shop vac. I was cleaning up after sanding some drywall and was covered in fine white plaster dust. I used a 16-gallon rigid shop vac to get the majority of the dust off the floor and began vacuuming my shoes, pant legs and sleeves. I continued right up the front of my shirt to my neck and hair. I then brought the vacuum hose around to the front of my face and within an inch of my eyeball before stopping myself. I still shudder to this day thinking about what would have happened. It would have sucked, for sure. Sometime when I'm driving, this itching thought crawls into my mind to just pull the emergency brake, for literally no reason. I keep glancing at it like, that's an idea that would qualify as going full on retard. Don't you dare do it. Pretty much the same with going from 5th gear to reverse on the highway. Sounds like El Apple do Vidi. Stopping myself seconds away from yelling out, where's my phone? Anybody seen my phone? Because I realize that I'm on it, lol. I have a friend who lost his watch in a field while drunk. He then went around asking people to be quiet so he could hear his watch ringing when he called it. On multiple occasions, I've almost gotten into the shower with my bra still on, then realized what I was doing and stopped myself. On multiple other occasions, I didn't stop myself, and on some of those occasions I was also still wearing panties, and once I was also still wearing jeans. Socks. Reaching into a deep fryer to retrieve a wing that had fallen out of its basket, a co-worker grabbed my arm in the nick of time and we both just stood there amazed at his reflexes and shocked at my stupidity. A few years ago while at home on break from college, I was watching TV and was too lazy to get up to use the bathroom. I thought to myself, I should just pee myself. I mean, I'm at home, and Ma is in the next room, so she can just help clean up. I did not pee myself that day. This is going to get buried, but a long time ago I worked in the stockroom of a Barnes & Noble. I don't know what the room had been used for before it was converted to a stockroom, but there was a large structure made of sheet metal in the middle of the floor with high voltage warnings all over it. This thing had vents in the side that were maybe just big enough to push your arm in past the elbow if you really pushed. I say maybe because right around the time I had my arm in up to the elbow, I came to my senses and pulled my arm out. I still have no idea what compelled me to do it. I almost ate glue in the 2nd grade, sorta out of a juice box muscle memory. I stopped myself, thinking, what are you doing? Then, I did it anyway. So you're that guy. I always wondered who was the person that required the warning label on my iron informing me to not iron my clothes while wearing. I have seen you exist and I welcome the coming apocalypse. Got coffee and a croissant the other morning, intended to put the croissant in my gym bag to eat later and instead came this close to putting my coffee in my gym bag. Whoops. Well, on a summer evening my friends and I were at the lake drinking and having fun when the genius idea came to make a bonfire. We collected papers but it didn't burn the way we wanted, as I had a ride on my scooter. Perhaps smoked is the better word for some to understand. I thought to dip the papers in the gasoline and light the bonfire that way. While I dipped it in the gasoline, it dripped all over my arm and I was about to light it with the same hand. Right before I lit it, the thought struck me that I was being really retarded. Sat quietly on the ground pretty much the rest of the evening. Excuse the possible interpunction mistakes. I fell asleep for half a second while driving alone. I woke up driving on the wrong side of the road on a 4-lane, 60 miles per hour road. I swerved back into my lane, and thank God it was 2 AM because there was no one on the road. I never drive exhausted anymore. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.